Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, Mindset Elevation Coach, publisher of the beloved Aspire magazine, and I'm excited to say the creatrix of the 2026 Inspired Life Women's Weekend of Love, Light, and Laughter that's coming to Massachusetts in April of 2026. If you want to get the details, get all the notifications as this unfolds, go visit inspiredlifeevent.com. And I got to tell you, we're in for a juicy conversation today because it's on some of my favorite topics: inner wisdom, creativity, and play. And I get to circle up with one of my favorite soul sisters, Shier. She is joining me today to talk about this and so much more. Karen is a midlife transformation guide, desire factor and law of attraction life coach, energy master, and best-selling author that guides women in releasing what no longer lights them up so they can joyfully thrive in the second half of their life. As a speaker and media guest, she shares strategies to support women in moving from feeling stuck, stressed, and unhappy to feeling free, empowered, and ready to co-create a marvelous life. I'm blessed to say she's a frequent contributor and expert columnist for Aspire magazine and has been invited to speak on law of attraction at various libraries and associations, as well as numerous virtual platforms, including my summits. You can learn more at KarenShierCoaching.com and be sure to check out her courses and free gifts when you get there. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Linda. I'm so excited to be here and play with you in this space today.
Well, I have to tell you, we have a personal relationship, so we've had a lot of deep conversations about everything we're going to be talking about today, because you and I are wired pretty similar. We both need creativity and that energy in our lives to feel fulfilled and feel aligned and feel connected to something bigger than us. And I know for you, creativity and play is an important part of who you are. And do you bring it into your business also, Karen?
Yes, I sure do. I find that for so many years it was just like pushed down. When you come from corporate, it's all just kind of pushed down and you forget that piece of yourself. But when I can play in my own business and think about creativity, how can I creatively look at this issue? How can I creatively bring this information to my community? It's just so freeing and so much more fun.
And I agree completely, because that's how I process. And I want to make a statement here for all who are listening who are saying, oh, I'm just not creative. You are. It's just buried. So Karen, let's talk about that for a moment, right? Because I think we've all noticed those times in our life when we're so immersed in a project or a plane or something that all of a sudden we lose track of time. You've written about that in Aspire magazine, in fact, and that's the zone of creativity, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And it's kind of a wonderful place to be when all of a sudden you realize you've kind of just lost yourself in the process and you're just really focused on what you're doing, whatever that is for you. It's peaceful. You get into that spot where it just feels kind of peaceful, and all the shoulds and the have tos and the to-do list and the little negative chatter you might hear in your mind just kind of falls away for a little bit. It's really refreshing.
It really is. And a lot of your work with women is helping them soothe their inner critic so that they can hear their inner wisdom, right? Because as we all know, my friends, our inner critic can get very bossy and loud and take over the conversation. So you've personally used creativity in a various ways in your own personal development journey. And like even through article writing and some of your other messaging, you beautifully share ways that we can all tap into creativity and play as a tool for enhancing that connection. So, did you notice it in your own journey how creativity and taking time to play enhanced your journey?
Yeah, and I had lost it for so many years and then found that that was a part of me that was missing. So I really started to step back into just trying some new things, things I hadn't tried before. I took an art class. I took a painting class. I learned how to do a little bit of Zentangle and just even just journaling or just doodling. I've always been a doodler, but just doodling, it kind of frees you for a little bit. And again, it calms your mind, it soothes your mind, and you just feel so much better. It kind of takes down that stress when you're in that stressful or frenetic kind of feel. If you can step aside and just let yourself doodle or journal it out or whatever it is. I share a lot of things in my blogs. I write a lot of blog posts and things, and try to share all these things that I've kind of done myself and personally experienced. And I'm always eager to share the things that work for me and things that might work for other people. So that's kind of how I've approached it. And what's been really fun over the last 2 or 3 years is like I said, I've tried different things that I hadn't tried before, but was always like, oh, that sounds really neat. Or if someone else is doing something, I discovered diamond painting at a little art class I was going to, never heard of it. Now I love it and it's easy and you just kind of immerse yourself in it. So it's been really good for me.
I love this. And what I discovered myself is even when I was a teenager, I was thinking about this the other day. I was having a conversation with a mindfulness teacher. And I said, I didn't realize how much I doodled when I was young. Like
Hmm.
in my journals, like just free form, just doodling. But it wasn't just the doodling. I then loved to fill in all those little sections in color. And it became almost like a mini art piece. And then as you were just speaking, it brought me back to that moment. And I'm thinking back, I used to do it a lot when I was feeling overwhelmed. Life was lifey, as I like to say. And it brought me out of the busyness of my mind into the moment. And it's funny, I think as we become adults, we go, I don't have time for creativity and play. I have to work and do all this. I'm guilty of that too. And I have to have that outlet. One thing I love about watching your journey, Karen, because we've known each other a while, is your willingness to try new creative projects, right? Like you're open to trying new things, and a lot of women that I talk to, they're like, "Oh, I won't be good at that. That's not my gift," and they shut down the experience of exploring. So that's what I would call you, a creative explorer. Does that resonate?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I love that title. And what's great about it is I used to be so perfectionistic in my corporate career and everything had to be just right. And it's really about when you step into your creativity, it's losing that worry about being perfect and just do it for the joy of it. If it's a picture you're painting, don't worry about framing it or putting it up on the wall or what the outcome's going to be. Do it just for you. Frame it if you want or don't. Just choose what feels good for you. Color outside of the lines, just try it. It doesn't matter. Do it for you. It doesn't have to be seen by anyone else if you don't want it to, or you can probably display it on your wall where everybody's going to see it. It's just allowing yourself the time and the space and the fun and the creativity to just explore and become your own creative explorer.
Yeah, and I love that because I'm glad you talked about perfectionism. Excuse me, because that is a big thing for a lot of women, right? I'm not
Mhm.
going to do it if it's not perfect. So while let's say they're trying watercolor painting for the first time, instead of just being present in the moment, those of us, and I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I get you, Karen, those of us who struggle with perfectionism, we're not in the moment as we're painting. We're like, oh my God, look at that tree's not good. We're judging. That's that down inner critic, isn't it?
Oh, sure. It sure is. And that can often stop us. I know one of the things that just occurred to me, I was a single mom for like 10 years. And so I would put off creative things like art things or buying a little project kit or something because I don't want to spend the money, right? And it's I guess the point I want to make with that is don't let that stop you. It doesn't have to be anything that's costly. Play with what you have on hand. You've probably got all sorts of stuff around the home that you could just whether it's pieces of fabric or ribbon or paper or whatever it is that you could just start playing with. Um, or other things like digging your hands in the dirt, gardening. You know, there's lots of things that you can try and you can do and just try it. And it's really not so much about the outcome of what you're doing or making. It's about the peace and the surrender and the mindfulness that you're going to experience along the way.
I love that. And I love that you said about exploring. And a lot of times, Karen, we all have everything we need to explore right in our house without even buying
Mhm.
stuff. You want to try collage? Look at all the cards and papers in your house. You want to paint? Go to the dollar store, grab some inexpensive paints. Just play as you did when you were a child. That's how I like to say, like, tap into that inner child. So those are great strategies. We're going to take our first break. And when we come back, I want to talk about some of the benefits, Karen, of making space and time for creativity and play, because there's so many benefits, ladies. So we'll be back in a moment. I invite you to learn about Karen at KarenShierCoaching.com. Everything is in the show notes on whatever platform you're watching. So be sure to check out that link. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to make the second half of your life the best half of your life, my midlife friend? Living a life full of happiness, abundance, and success is possible when you learn strategies to soothe your inner critic, honor your inner wisdom, and that support you to co-create your life from a place of joy and possibility. Don't walk the journey alone. Midlife Transformation Guide, Master Certified Law of Attraction Coach, and Certified Desire Factor Coach, Karen Shier, will passionately support you to uncover and release what no longer lights you up, so you can go from feeling stuck, stressed, and unfulfilled to feeling free, empowered, and eager for the next chapter of your life. Learn more at KarenShierCoaching.com and schedule a complimentary discovery call today.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, and with me today is Midlife Transformation Guide, Karen Shier. And we're talking about how creativity and play can enhance our connection to our inner wisdom, soothe the inner critic, and bring us back into that joyful spot that many of us kind of forgotten since childhood. Remember all the times you played and lost track of time or were in the zone? Well, we deserve that as adults too. So, Karen, what have you found are some of the amazing benefits of making space and time for creativity and play?
One of the most important things is that creativity and play of any kind, they connect you directly with your spirit and higher level energies. Um, it enhances your connection to your inner wisdom, which we've already talked about a little bit, but it makes space for that inner wisdom to come in. And like you mentioned earlier, Linda, some people just think, oh, I'm not creative. But understand that creativity is already part of your divine human design. It's how you were wired. And it's the place where your higher self wants you to play. It wants you to play in the creativity part of your brain, the right side of your brain versus the left side of your brain. And so I think that's really probably the number one in my opinion, that just directly getting connected with your spirit and increasing your energetic frequencies as you're going about the creative play.
Oh, I agree 100%. Because for me, if I ever feel stuck, like, we all have, like, maybe we're working on a project, or maybe there's a family issue, a health issue, whatever, and the answer's available, but you just can't seem to grasp it.
Mhm.
I then
Yes.
walk away. I don't try to figure it out. I do something fun, doodling, Zentangle, as you mentioned earlier. And I love something just started maybe 18 months ago, maybe 2 years. It's called dot painting,
Yeah.
and especially on mandalas. I love that, and adult coloring books. Now, here's the funny thing, and it's everything you just shared. That problem is still there, or issue, or whatever, or block. But once I start, like, well, to say about the coloring mandalas in my coloring book, I am so focused in the moment on the play and the creativity that it's almost like the divine goes, her mind is finally quiet now. And the answer I was yearning for just freaking drops in. Does that
Hmm.
happen to you too, Cameron?
Yeah, that's when I get some of my best ideas. And especially I find that I go to the play when my mind's really racing, or I'm feeling a little bit down. And so it whatever I'm doing, it slows down that thought process. It kind of quiets it down. And then all of a sudden, ideas pop in my head that I hadn't thought of before. And often they're really good ideas. So it just gives that space for your inner wisdom to kind of tap you on the shoulder and go, "Hey, I've got a solution for you." So that's what I love about it is the magic happens in that space.
It truly does. And one of the other things too is, and it circles back to something you said earlier, when we're in that space, we're connected to our higher self, those higher level energies, divine, source, whatever your word is for. And in that space, it's almost as if the inner critic just sits in a chair in the back of the room. It's almost like, well, for me, I can only share it. It's like she just is like, okay, I have to take a back seat here because this higher energy just moved in. But what I love about that is we get to choose, right? So when we feel the inner critic's too loud, everything you're saying today, this is a tool we can use to soothe her, right?
Oh,
And it's
for sure.
powerful. That gives me like, that's so beautiful because everyone has access to creativity and play, and they can
Mhm.
make it unique to them. So let's talk about that. Before we go to another benefit, there's something that you shared, because creativity doesn't always have to mean artwork, right? Because you mentioned gardening. So share some of the ways that creativity could show up, because it doesn't have to be a painting or a craft. There's so many ways to be creative.
Yeah, and I think it just also comes to that point of just being present in what you're doing. But gardening is a big one for me. Being outside is a big one for me. And I've mentioned writing and journaling, but it's kind of whatever you're into, whatever lights you up. It could be baking or cooking or sewing, or maybe you want to paint a room or build a she shed. Whatever it is for you. Landscaping. I love to do landscaping projects. And maybe you just have a pantry that needs to be organized or a messy closet that needs to be organized, and you put your creative juices into that. It doesn't sound like a fun creative play, but when you get done, you probably will feel really good and really accomplished. And that's the space that you want to be in. I also like creativity, which comes in the form of creating unusual uses for common things. I used to live on a lake and I had this little plastic stool and I had this plastic tote that I actually set on top of the stool and we screwed it together, and I would use it on my dock to hold, like if I was journaling or wanted to take a book or iced tea down to the dock. as the boats went by, the dock would, of course, move with the waves, and I didn't want my things spilling all over. So it was just creating a solution for something that was very useful to me, and I actually still use it today, even though my home with the dock and a lake is long gone. It's it's just I think I've always had a knack for that. I'll use things that um, most people would probably throw away, and I'll create a new use for them. That's creative play. So it's all those kinds of things. There's really no rules for creative play. It can be whatever you want it to be and whatever you make it to be. The main point is, I think, it brings you into the present moment awareness while you're doing it. It lets things fall away, lets your to-do list fall away, and it enhances your connection with your spirit, your inner wisdom, and it just feels really good.
It does. And one of the things that I notice in the conversations I've held, because I have so many women's communities, is it's almost like we don't, as women, don't give ourselves permission to play. We think it's, "Oh, I don't have time for that." But what I want this episode and everything you're sharing is to inspire a woman to say, you are worthy of creating space in your own life to play. Think about all the times, and you write about this in a recent article, your recent column, I should say. Like, think back to the times in your life as a child, and you mentioned something that brought beautiful memories back for me, is those hook and loop pot holders, right? Painting, chalk on the sidewalks, all these things. I remember the hooked rug kits too, Karen, so thank you for that memory, way back 50 years. Um, we forget that we are innately come here as creative, energetic beings. And then as we grow in the human form, it's like life, I don't know, suffocates that part of ourselves. Have you noticed that too? It's like as a woman, we have to reconnect with that part of ourselves.
You really do, because life kind of, just, yeah, like you said, it just kind of sucked it out of us over time, right? And before I started on this journey of bringing more creativity into my life, you're stuck with that question of, what am I going to do? What do I try? What do I do? And I always kind of talk to my clients about, dig back into your childhood. Think about those things that you liked back then. That might spur some other ideas, or maybe it's something you always wanted to do or never did. The hook and loop pot holders really does date me, but also, things like make a macaroni frame or a button frame or collaging. One of the things that I used to make really beautiful photo albums, the fabric covered photo albums, and I still have them. Most people don't generally have a use for those anymore with digital cameras and things, but um, just to give ideas, hand make some cards, make homemade candles. Maybe you made holiday ornaments. Um, make holiday ornaments out of natural things, things in nature, twigs and moss and things like that. Really just dip into, kind of what those things were that you did, but also how did your younger self feel when you engaged in those activities? Maybe you just went out and climbed a tree, you know. It's just engaging and allowing yourself the peace and the surrender and the fun of creative play, whatever that is for you.
I love that. And one of the things too is I can remember just for reference to the listeners, my daughter's going to be 41. But when she was young, I was a single mother too. And she was just a born creative. My granddaughter is too. And I wanted to nurture that. So I'd have some girlfriends over. Back then, vision boards were really big. They still are, but I remember how exciting it was 30, 40 years ago. And then we'd set up a whole craft table, and I'd bring like two other women who were in my circle that also had children, and we'd set up crafts for the kids. We didn't tell them what to do. We just put everything there and they did what they wanted while we did our thing. I got to tell you, those are some of the best memories of just circling up with others and being creative. So we're going to take another break here. When we come back, let's talk about a few more of the benefits and so much more. My friends, you're listening to Inspire Conversations with me today. I am so excited to say, as Aspire Mag expert columnist, my friend, and Karen Shier, she's also a midlife transformation guide and so much more. So stay with us, and you can check out Karen and her offerings at KarenShierCoaching.com. Again, everything will be in the show notes. We'll be back in a moment.
It only takes one person to transform a relationship, any relationship. Relationship expert and Aspire magazine columnist Stacey Martino and her husband Paul are the founders of relationshipdevelopment.org and the Hay House authors of The Missing Piece, a proven method to single-handedly transform your relationship and create harmony in your home. At a time when divorce rates are sky high and families are unnecessarily suffering, The Missing Piece provides powerful solutions to help you navigate real-life situations harmoniously, regardless of what you're currently facing. The Martinos have successfully empowered thousands of students over 14 years with proven tools and strategies that work to transform their relationship, any relationship, without their partner's participation. Transforming your relationship is possible and begins with you. Start now by ordering your copy of The Missing Piece at missingpiecebook.com.
Thanks for being here today. You're circled up with host Linda Joy, that's me, and my special guest, Karen Shier. So Karen, let's go back to some other benefits of making space and time for creativity and play.
Oh, I'd love to. One of the things I love about this is even if you feel like you're in that spot of not being creative, what you'll find is when you engage in play more, those creative neural pathways on the right side of your brain, they're going to reignite to the point that creativity and fun becomes your desire on a consistent basis. You'll be drawn to it. And the more you play, the happier you'll be, and your energetic vibration will increase significantly. And that even brings more good things into your life because the universe will match you where you're at, right? If you're vibrating at a higher level, the universe is going to bring more higher level things your way. And it's quite a magical thing when you see this start to happen. But one of the things too is a really great benefit is being able to go back and use your imagination again, because it creatively helps you to grow, and it helps you to grow beyond your self-imposed borders of shoulds and have tos. We all have those endless to-do lists,
Yes.
but you tend to become, when you start tapping into that creativity, you tend to become more open to unique ideas and insights. And that will also lead you to greater innovation and excitement within your life. You'll look at things differently, and I think that's just a lovely benefit. It tends to open up your world, I guess, would be a good way to say that.
Oh, I agree. And something you said too is about the universe matches our energy. When we're feeling a little off or down, as you said, I love this, that creativity is a vibe lifter, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's normal. Come on, we all feel stuck or down sometimes, but it's important that we have tools that we can turn to. And that's why Karen is an extraordinary coach. But we all have access to creativity and play in the moment. Right? And to
Mhm.
me, when we feel that way, I think it's a powerful tool to help us elevate our vibration so that we can open up to possibility and call in that we desire. So I'm so glad that you brought that up about it's a tool to help us just come up a little higher in our vibe. And I loved what you talked about, those self-imposed shoulds and have tos, because that was a big one for me
Mhm.
for many years. So let's share one more benefit and then we'll continue with our conversation.
I think that for me, what I have found that when I started engaging in creative endeavors, it kind of reminded me of my self-worth. It also builds self-confidence. Whether whether the project is frame worthy at the end, it doesn't matter. You did it. You engaged, you made something, and it just makes you feel good. And I think it again just makes you more self-confident in trying other things in your normal everyday work or reaching out to friends or anything like that. When you feel good, you're more likely to kind of reach outside of yourself, if that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely does. And I agree with the self-confidence thing too, because it's like you also honored a commitment to yourself. Like if you said, oh, I'm going to play this Wednesday, even if you didn't define what that was, and then you show up and allow the creativity to flow. It's like this building the trust muscles with your relationship with yourself too.
Oh, yes. I found too a nice benefit was I just obviously feel more peaceful when I was engaging, and the more I engage, the more peaceful I feel, and patient and content. And those were some things that I had lost for a while, those senses. And I think more content and peaceful with your sense of your true self. So
Mm.
yeah, it just there's so many good
Like the
benefits. It
deeper
just
part of who we are, right, Karen? Not the surface stuff. Because I think a lot of us really forgot parts of ourselves because the world can get heavy at sometimes. And as you've so beautifully shared throughout us knowing each other, when you're in a corporate career for a long time, the majority of companies don't want you to be identify with self. So you shut down all these parts of yourself. And I love that you've recommitted since leaving corporate to like, I am bringing out the play and fun. I am tapping into my intuition. I am breaking the shoulds and have tos. I've witnessed it in you, and it's been beautiful because I also see that you're passionate about guiding others. But I think it's so important to rediscover and reconnect with those lost parts of ourselves. So I'm so glad that you use that word because I know so many women are feeling disconnected from themselves. They forget who they truly are.
yeah, and they just you forget what makes me happy. What do I like? What brings me joy? And this gives you an opportunity to figure that out again.
Yeah, it truly does. And you mentioned, I think it's called diamond heart painting. And I remember the first time I saw one of your finished projects, I'm like, I want to do that. So my grandson just gave me a kit. I haven't started it yet. Um, so I'm excited too to dive in. When I did look at all those little pieces, Cameron, I'm like, she works with these little things. So, but I'm excited. So I have another question for you. Do you yourself find it's better to create sacred space in your calendar for play? Because I notice if I don't do that, everything else will fill that space. So I'm curious, how do you nurture your creativity?
I at first, yes, yes. The short answer is yes. I do have to plan for creative play. And by doing that, like within my business and within my everyday life, there's things that I will keep my calendar open. I won't schedule things during certain periods of time so that I have time for that creative play. And I definitely do. I put it on my calendar as that time. I put it on my calendar as my free time so that I
Yeah.
can decide in that moment, what do I want to do today? I might feel like journaling, or I might feel like doing the diamond painting, or I might feel like playing out in the garden. So I do schedule the time. I don't necessarily schedule it down for me to what I'm going to do. Um,
Oh, I'm the same way. I just leave it. I just do hashtag playtime, and I get
yes.
go in that moment when it pops in my calendar of what I'm intuitively being led to. But if I was forced to go pick it, I know it wouldn't happen.
Mhm. Or you'd feel a little resentful because maybe it's not what you really wanna do in that moment. That's what
Yeah.
ha that's what happens to me. It would feel more like a task, to-do list kinda thing that I have to do this. I have to spend a half hour on this, and that's not what this is about. This is about releasing and coming into yourself and being mindful in the present moment and just doing something that lights you up. You don't want it to become, you want to spend the time or dedicate some time to whatever it is that lights you up, but don't get so granular that it becomes something that you feel like you have to do, because that kind of takes away all the benefits.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I know we touched back about childhood and the things we used to love to do. And one of the things when, probably about 30 years ago, I went through a dark night of the soul and I lost some of my creative connections in the healing process. And I remember, I don't know if it was a session I was in with a therapist or a group. It was way back when, so I can't remember exactly, but they said, write a letter to the child from back then. And like you're interviewing the child and asking, what do you love to do? What colors do you like? What makes you feel good? And try to reconnect with that part of you that loved to create back then. Because, like many of us, we may not have conscious memories of those things. So if you are feeling stuck, try that fun exercise, because you were born a creative being. You were born from creation. So let me see what else. I know there was something else juicy. You used the word surrender, right? Which I love because that's the feminine. And it says in your column, the more you surrender to your creativity, the more you'll desire to prioritize this sacred time. And then you said, in life, starts to flow with more ease and grace. And I'm like, oh, yes, don't we all want more ease and grace? So, surrender, when you use that word, surrender to your creativity, are you referring to what you just shared with us? Like, create the space for it, but surrender to what it's going to look like. Like, you don't like to schedule in the exact project. Is that what you mean when you say surrender to your creativity?
Yeah, I think it's both of those things, but also it's kind of dips into surrendering that you're in that space, you're in that time. Maybe you make it a ritual, and this is your time to nurture yourself, and surrendering so that um, you can just allow yourself the freedom of play, and immerse all of your senses into the activity. Allow yourself to explore, how does it feel with you, at the time you're doing it. You use all your senses. What can you taste, see? What can you hear? What do you smell? How are you feeling in that moment? What memories come up for you? It's really surrendering to wherever your inner wisdom takes you. Um, don't one of the things I like to say is, if you get a kit or you're doing an art thing, don't follow the rules if you don't want to. Just surrender to however you want to do it. Maybe your intention changes as you go along. Follow that. It's really just surrendering to your spirit and letting your spirit guide you, and following where your spirit is leading you. Even if it doesn't feel like it makes sense and your logic brain steps back in, just go with the surrender and go with where this is going to take you, and you're going to be so pleased with the results.
Just feels so freeing just hearing you describe it. So thank you for that. We're going to take a final break, and when we come back for the last segment, I'm going to invite you to share some ways they can just get started playing with their creativity and tapping into their inner wisdom. We'll be back in a moment, my friends. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. My special guest is Karen Shier. You can learn more at KarenShierCoaching.com. You'll find the link in the show notes. We'll be back in a moment.
The time is now to deepen your intuition, connect with the archangels, your guides, and own your sacredness so you can live the empowered, inspired life you desire. Intuitive spiritual teacher, healer, and holistic life coach Robin Fitzsimons consciously blends her treasure trove of healing modalities, including Akashic Records, Sui Reiki, and silent counseling, along with working with the angelics to support the divine wellness of her clients' body, mind, and spirit. Through her popular online classes and sacred readings, including shadow work, awakening your intuition, channeled angelic guidance, past life healing, soul recovery, and more, Robin brings women deeper into the truth of who they are in a safe and sacred container. She is the founder of Wellness with Robin in Platteville, Wisconsin, where she offers in-person sessions and classes. Learn more at wellnesswithrobin.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm so glad you're circling up with me and my special guest, Karen Shier. We're talking about play, creativity, and how they help support your connection to your inner wisdom, as well as all the other benefits they bring to our lives. So, in our final segment, could you share some ways that if someone's like, yes, I need this, I feel like this is missing from my life, or I want to explore more, what are some ways they can get started, Karen?
Yes. Well, obviously, just get started, but say yes to yourself. Give yourself permission and the time to play as often as you can, even if it's just 10 minutes to start. Your heart needs you to kind of let your hair down a bit and just immerse yourself in the play. And one tool that I like to share is that when your inner critic starts to chatter, and she's going to say things like, you don't have time for this, or you can't do this, or whatever other little insidious thing that comes to you, acknowledge it. Just say, you know what? Thank you. I hear you. Now I'm going to go play. And don't allow her to get you down. Don't allow her to stop your um, progression. Simply enjoy your creative commitment to yourself as you connect with your inner wisdom and said. Just let her sit in the back seat for a little while. Excuse me. And I think again, we talked about this a little bit, but don't worry about being perfect. Do it just for the joy of it. If it's a picture you're painting, don't worry about framing it. Just do it for fun.
I love that because perfectionism can really stop us from enjoying the flow of life, can't it? And I'm so excited because Karen is going to be sharing a couple more ways that we can get started with playing creativity in our life. So Karen will be back in a moment.
So sorry about that.
That's okay. And so Karen, what's another perfectionism, as I just shared, is a big one. What's another one, another way they can get started? Because we have so many different personalities and energy types listening to our show today.
I would say um, no boundaries. Try something new. Do it your way. Excuse me, I had a coughing fit, so I apologize. Um, and again, follow the instructions only if you want to. Do what feels good to you. Color outside of the lines. It doesn't have to be costly. Play with what you have on hand. And then just like I mentioned before, just immerse all of your senses into the activity and really focus on that. It brings you into the present moment. How am I feeling right now? Am I enjoying this? What could make it better? Um, what am I hearing right now? What am I smelling and tasting and feeling? And one of the things I like to do, especially if I'm going to schedule a creativity time for me, let's say it's on a Friday and I don't have any other meetings, I want to make it a ritual because a ritual will enhance my creativity time. So I might light some candles, I might get some crystals, I might go grab my favorite beverage or, a cafe mocha or something like that and just make it a special time. And that makes my experience more enticing, more joyful, and it makes me look forward to it. And again, the more you play, the more you're going to want to. And the more that you want to, the more you're going to make it a priority and the more you're going to play. And that just makes your heart happy.
Yeah, and that really spoke to me when you said that, because I love rituals anyway, but when you said create a ritual and light candles, etc., what my energy immediately felt was it's like I am worthy of my own time and attention. Like, that's what I felt like when as you were saying to set up that ritual, I'm like, it creates something sacred and beautiful with the higher self within us. So to me, I love that part. I love about setting, I call it like setting the space, right? And I think that is so key. And I know one of the other things too is we all have this um, deep yearning, I believe, to be more creative. We might use different words. So, ladies, if you might not use those words, like I am creative, if you feel creativity doesn't come natural to you, I want you to know that it's an innate part of you, that just part of the human experience kind of makes you feel disconnected from it. And that's why this whole creative exploration that Karen's been sharing today is so key. No judgment, just play. Go back to that childhood part of yourself and call her forward. Have fun. I love creating little affirmation cards and playing with pieces of paper and ripping them out and doing collage. And this whole conversation has reminded me that I've had a busy month and I do express my creativity through business, but I think I'm going to take out that diamond painting kit that my grandson got me today, got me this week. So, Karen, thank you for that inspiration, my friend.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's addictive. You're going to have fun with it.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. So, we still have a few minutes left. Let's tie it back into, you know, creativity as an enhancer to connecting with our inner wisdom. So let's say someone's in the creative process. Is like, do you do anything? Do you feel like you invite your intuition to step into a conversation? Or is it just in the space created, you just feel the opening? I'm curious how you experience it yourself in your body.
Well, it's a little bit of both. I'll start my creative play or my creative time with with setting an intention, and I think that kind of helps me connect with spirit in that moment. And whether my intention is to, hey, I'm going to work on this today, and I want to feel. I may talk about how I want to feel in this moment, and I want to release, you know, all the to dos and those kinds of things in this time, but when I start getting into the play and in that space of just immersing myself, that peaceful, calm space where the other stuff has fallen away, again, that's generally when the good ideas do drop in, or the inspirations drop in, or things that, I thought were that have been nagging me as a problem, all of a sudden a solution will drop in I hadn't thought of. So it's kind of in that space of surrender is maybe a good way to describe that time and space.
I love that. And I just love how when we're in that flow of surrender, the answers we need, which have always been within us, can actually be heard because we're quieting that other little voice within. So it's like, yes, we're connecting with the divine and it's giving our spirit or source, whatever your personal word is, and it's given us the information. But I've started to, on my own personal understanding of how I receive, it's almost like instead of being given to us, I feel like it's revealed because it's the answers. We all know the answers, but we shut our intuition off because we're always listening to the inner critic. And so it's like, oh, she's finally listening. Let me reveal the answer that was already within her. Do you feel that sometimes too, Karen?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a time of surrender and revelation when you can get in that space and connect with your spirit, and you're automatically, you're just feeling better and you're feeling peaceful, and amazing things just pop in. It's wonderful.
It
It's
really
magical.
is. And like you, like I get, as you know, the names of my books for my publishing company drop in when I create the space at the end of a year to receive, right? All my businesses were born out of in products and programs were born out of what you call that surrender to creativity and flow. If I didn't surrender, I wouldn't have the space, energetic space, to receive all these insights. And so this has been such a fun and empowering conversation. And I want to invite everyone again, please go to KarenShierCoaching.com. You'll see she has a free e-guide gift there, How to Soothe Your Inner Critic So You Can Hear Your Inner Wisdom. But she has an empowering blog. She has a YouTube channel and so much more. So go to KarenShierCoaching.com. Check the show notes for the links. And Karen, my friend, this was such a beautiful conversation on all my favorite topics. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I think it's just such an important thing to get out there and invite women to play and rediscover themselves.
Yeah. So ladies, this is a sacred invitation to play more, to surrender, to use creativity to elevate your vibe so you can call in what you deserve and what you desire. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.